The glass between us. My name is James Whitmore, and I am 64 years old. At my age, you believe you've seen every shade of human nature: kindness, jealousy, love, greed. But nothing prepares you for the moment when betrayal sits across the dinner table wearing your daughter's smile. That night began with laughter. It ended with silence so heavy I could hear my own heartbeat. And somewhere between those two moments, I realized that blood doesn't always guarantee loyalty. The invitation. The dinner was my daughter Emily's idea. "Dad, it's been too long," she had said over the phone. "Let's have a proper family evening, no business talk, no stress." Emily had always been strong-willed. Even as a little girl, she wanted things done her way. When she married Daniel 3 years ago, I told myself she had simply found someone equally ambitious. Daniel was polite, too polite sometimes, the kind of man who smiled without warmth in his eyes. Still, I tried for her. Because that's what fathers do. After my wife passed away 5 years ago, Emily became my only immediate family. I poured my heart into my work and kept my grief private. Emily said I was distant. Maybe I was, but I never stopped loving her. Never. The atmosphere. Their house was beautifully decorated that evening. Candles flickered along the dining table. Soft instrumental music played in the background. Emily hugged me tightly at the door. "You look tired, Dad," she said. "I'm 64, I laughed. Tired is my permanent expression. Daniel shook my hand firmly. "Good to see you, James." His grip lingered just a second too long. We sat down. The food was delicious: herb-roasted chicken, fresh bread, a bottle of expensive wine Daniel claimed was imported just for tonight. I noticed something small but strange. Emily insisted on pouring the drinks herself. The glass. When she handed me my glass, her hand trembled. "Everything all right?" I asked. "Of course," she said quickly, too quickly. Daniel raised his glass. "To family." "To family," I echoed. As I lifted my drink, a faint, unusual scent brushed against me. It wasn't strong, just slightly bitter, almost metallic. Maybe it was the wine. But something in my chest tightened. A father's instinct, perhaps. Or simply a lifetime of experience whispering caution. I pretended to take a sip, letting only a drop touch my lips. The taste was wrong. Not spoiled. Not sour. Just wrong. I set the glass down slowly. And that's when I saw it. Emily wasn't eating. She was watching me. Not with love. With anticipation. The decision. In that moment, I had two choices. Confront her, or confirm my fear. My heart begged me to believe I was mistaken. But my mind told me otherwise. When Emily stood up to get more bread, I did something I never thought I would have to do in my own daughter's home. I switched my glass with Daniel. The movement was subtle, casual, he didn't notice. When Emily returned, she sat quietly. Daniel took a large sip. Within minutes, his face changed. "Are you feeling all right?" I asked calmly. He swallowed hard, just dizzy. Emily's eyes widened, not in concern for him, but in shock. Shock that it wasn't me. The truth surfaces. "Emily," I said quietly, "what did you put in that drink?" Her face turned pale. I don't know what you're talking about." Daniel stood up unsteadily. "What's happening?" I stood as well, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. I switched the glasses. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Emily's composure shattered. "You weren't supposed to drink it," she cried at Daniel. The words cut deeper than any blade. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. "Emily, what did you do?" Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't the tears of guilt. They were the tears of a plan collapsing. The motive. The truth came out slowly. Painfully. Emily and Daniel had been struggling financially, risky investments, poor decisions, pride too big to admit failure. They knew about my savings. They knew about my life insurance. And they knew I hadn't updated my will recently. If something happened to you, Emily whispered, unable to finish. I felt something inside me break. Not anger, not even rage. Just disappointment. A deep, hollow disappointment. Emily, I said softly, you could have asked. She shook her head violently. You always judged Daniel, you never believed in us. I never stopped believing in you. Daniel sank into his chair, realization hitting him fully. You tried to use me. She said nothing. Her silence was confession enough. The aftermath. I called for medical help immediately. Daniel recovered. It wasn't fatal, just enough to cause serious illness. Emily was questioned. Authorities became involved. I didn't fight to protect her from consequences. Love does not mean protecting someone from the results of their choices. The house that once felt warm now felt like a crime scene. The daughter I raised felt like a stranger. Alone again. Weeks passed. Emily was charged. Daniel filed for separation shortly after. And I sat alone in my quiet home, staring at old photographs. Her first birthday. Her graduation. Her wedding day. Where had I failed? Had my focus on work made her feel unloved? Had my strictness turned into resentment? Or had greed simply grown where gratitude should have been? At 64, I thought I understood life. But I was still learning. The visit. Months later, Emily asked to see me. She looked smaller, humbled, different. Dad, she whispered, sitting across from me in a quiet room, I don't expect forgiveness. I studied her face. For the first time in years, I saw my little girl. Not the ambitious woman. Not the angry daughter. Just a frightened human being who had made a terrible choice. Why? I asked. She closed her eyes. I felt like you cared more about your money than me. The words pierced me. I built that money for you, I said gently, for your future, for security. I was afraid, she admitted, afraid of failing, afraid of disappointing you. And so you decided to remove me entirely. She broke down then, real tears this time. I wasn't thinking, I was desperate. Desperation is a dangerous companion. It whispers lies that feel like solutions. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's not pretending the wound doesn't exist. It's choosing not to let it poison your heart further. I looked at her for a long time. You hurt me more than you will ever understand, I said quietly. I know, but you're still my daughter. She gasped softly. I forgive you, I continued, but forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. She nodded. I don't deserve it. Perhaps not, I said, but forgiveness says more about the giver than the receiver. Moving forward, I updated my will. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Money would now be handled responsibly through a trust, ensuring it could never become a weapon again. Emily began therapy. So did I, because betrayal leaves scars on both sides. Our relationship will never be what it was. But sometimes broken things can be rebuilt, different, not perfect, but honest. Reflection. Now, as a 64-year-old man who once believed family meant safety, I understand something deeper. Trust is precious. And love without communication can slowly turn into misunderstanding. That night could have ended in tragedy. Instead, it ended in revelation. I lost the illusion of a perfect family. But I gained clarity. Moral of the story. Greed grows quietly in the shadows of silence. When fear replaces honesty and pride replaces communication, even family bonds can fracture. True wealth is not measured in bank accounts, but in trust, respect, and open hearts. And if you ever feel desperate enough to harm someone for money, pause. Because no inheritance is worth losing your soul.